what you're playing against.
That sounds pretty
that's about all I got to say about Teemo. Besides, like, I have infinite videos if you want to go watch them.
Yeah, they're excellent. Some of the first League of Legends videos I saw on YouTube were those Teemo videos, and did make me try Teemo a few times, even though he's not my kind of character type. He is fun to play, though.
Yeah. So I think it's your turn now?
Sure. Well, the champion I picked is Tarek. Of course, everyone knows at this point that I'm a big fan of tank and or support characters, and Tarek definitely fits that bill. You can really go with a range of builds with them. I start with a mana manipulator with them. I really like it because it does give you a few build options. Plus, it fits that sort of support role. You're laning with a partner. Make sure you're laning with someone with mana, obviously, and then so they keep their mana up. Plus, you can throw them some heals. And generally, Tarek is an amazing laning champion. Just fantastic. His abilities: he has a stun, a ranged stun. He has an ability that gives him passive armor, but you can also detonate it to do damage in an AoE around you. And you've got a heal, which you can use on yourself to heal yourself a considerable amount, or if you use it on someone else, it heals them and yourself for a slightly lower amount. And those, they all come up fantastically during the laning phase. That stun, having a ranged stun, allows you to really get some low-level kills. If you can partner yourself up with someone like Pantheon is one of my favorite laning partners with Tarek, because he can leap in with the stun, you can follow it in with a stun, and guarantee that you're feeding your laning partner tons and tons and tons of kills.
Scion, too, is ridiculous.
Scion, yeah. That dual stun combo means that you are going to get a kill. But even if there's not a stun, even if it's just like a Master Yi or I don't know, some sort of ranged character, you're going to be pretty good. Teemo, yeah. Basically anyone. Tarek is the ultimate buddy. Especially if you've got the mana manipulator, the heal, and the stun. People are going to love you no matter what.
For sure. And not to mention his armor ability, when it's active, when its passive is on, doesn't it apply some to your teammates too?
Let me check that.
I feel like it
Aura. Was it always an Aura? I guess it is.
Pretty sure.
But yeah, the passive ability gives you 10 to 30 bonus armor to yourself and your nearby allies. So I tend to be pretty aggressive with blowing it up during the laning phase, but it does make you considerably tougher, you and your allies. So it's definitely not a bad thing. So yeah, you are a beast in the laning phase, and then later on you can have these huge heals to keep your teammates up. You've got the stun, so you stun the enemy's carry during a group fight, and you're just a valuable team member. So just back to the build very quickly. I do get the mana manipulator, and then generally after that, I often build an Aegis of the Legion, because I do like that item in all kinds of ways. It makes you considerably tougher, plus gives your allies some more defense, and you really become the sort of center of a storm within a team fight, because people should huddle around you. Somewhere in there I get boots. Generally speaking, it's going to be, a lot of times it's going to be the Mercury's Treads, sometimes the Ninja Tabi. You really have to play that one by ear. And then I like to build the Mana Manipulator into Soul Shroud. Between having a Soul Shroud and the Aegis and some sort of defensive boots, you're very, very tough, very tanky. You've got a lot of health and a good number of defenses, plus you're still contributing all these buffs to your allies, shortening their cooldowns, giving them all kinds of defenses and the mana, and it really, really is effective for the team fight mode. No one can kill you quickly, but as long as you're standing there, you're an incredible threat, so it's kind of lose-lose for the other team. And after that, you've got a lot of flexibility in what you want to do. You can keep going tanky. You could go for some AP, maybe a Mijay Soul Stealer in there. Or you can pick up Nashor's Tooth, which increases your damage considerably and gives you AP. They're very, very flexible, but in my mind, the sort of Mana Manipulator into Soul Shroud with an Aegis of the Legion in there is excellent.
Yeah, with Soul Shroud is just so good for so many champions. Like, a lot of champions can really benefit from the cooldown reduction, such as Vlad.
Yeah, and it's an item I don't see very often in games, and which I think is a shame. And whenever I play a support type character, I always try to pick it up because A, it gives you the hit points you need to survive, the random stuff that happens. But that's such a good cooldown reduction. In terms of ability build, usually I start with Dazzle, which is his stun. I get 1 rank in that, and then I leave it there because getting more ranks in it doesn't increase the stun duration, only the damage. And the damage is really nice if you're meleeing, but it's not huge. And then it's a mix of either Imbue or Shatter, depending on how things are going. Sometimes I'll go lots of imbue. Usually I rely more heavily on shatter, so I'll get 1 or 2 ranks of imbue, max out shatter, and then finishing everything up. His ultimate is, I don't know, not that great, I think.
Anymore.
Yeah, it used to be amazing. You'd turn it on, it was this huge AoE heal. Now, it does increase damage considerably. At rank 3, it's an extra 90 damage per swing to yourself and half as much to nearby allies. So that's like a BF sword for you and half a BF sword for everyone else. So it certainly counts for a lot, but that is not what makes Tarek Tarek. For Tarek, it's his regular abilities and just, he's pretty good looking. All that gem armor, very sexy.
Oh, and he's mad gay too.
just a little bit, especially in that pink armor. Anyway, that's about it for Tarek.
Yeah, I agree. Tarek's good. He's a fun champion. He's annoying as hell to lane against, like you said. Well, you said he's great to lane with.
Yeah.
Therefore, i.e., he's annoying as fuck to lane against. So, items? You want to move on to that?
Yes, absolutely.
Alright, so we're going to go over boots this week. So we haven't really talked about the boots that much before. We didn't really prepare much, but I think we should do alright. So we're going to start off with the original boots. Boots of Speed. Everyone knows these boots. Everyone gets them, and they're 350 gold for Enhanced Movement 1, which basically... do you know the exact numbers on that? I mean, it usually provides around 50.
Yes, something like that. I'm not 100% sure. The big question with the Boots 1, I mean, obviously everyone gets Boots at some point, but the question is, when do you get Boots 1? Some champions start with the Boots. I've done that with Shen. I'll get Boots and a bunch of health potions. I
do that with Vlad.
Yeah, oh really? I didn't think of that.
Oh, every time. I'll explain that in a second, but you can go on. Continue.
No, and then some champions will get a starter item, maybe Adorns, and then go to Boots. Maybe they'll finish one item, and then some, like Heimerdinger, don't need Boots for quite a long time and will delay it. But that's pretty uncommon. Most people want Boots 1 as soon as possible.
I agree, and like I was saying, on Vlad, I get Boots first. And like you said, on Shen. And also I would get it on Akali. I also get it on Kennen. And other champions who don't need... Basically, who don't need mana regen. That's like the only thing if they need mana regen, I'm not going to get Boots first, because if they only need health, or they don't really need mana much, I can get Boots and 3 potions, which if you play smart and your champion is somewhat resilient, then it should be able to last you until around level 6 with those 3 potions. And then later on in the game, Doran's items, you usually end up selling them if the game goes long enough. So it's like you're skipping a wasted item early on. And I also believe that Boots First provides a very tangible, noticeable increase in how you're able to play the game. Like, your circle of affection, basically, like the area that you can affect
your zone
is a lot. There we go. That's what I was looking for. A circle of affection. Ooh, Quill, you're in my circle of affection. So, your zone of control is just so much bigger than theirs. That's what she said when she was caught off guard by the boots. But seriously, like the amount of area you can cover is so much bigger, and you can set up ganks early on. You can escape from stuns early on. You can force people to overcommit, chasing you down, thinking they got you when you're actually running a little bit faster than they are.
Mm-hmm.
And specifically for Vlad, he doesn't need anything, like especially Vlad, because he has Q, which gives him his HP. Combining his Q with potions is just ridiculous. Like, it's really hard to kill him if you don't suicide yourself in there.
Right. Then you've got the upgraded boots, which I'd say come in 3 categories. You've got the ones that increase your offense, which is the Sorcerer's Boots, or rather Sorcerer's Shoes, or Berserker's Greaves. You've got the ones that increase your defense, the Ninja Tabby and the Merc Treads. And then you've got the ones that just give you a lot more speed, either swiftness or mobility.
Exactly. So, as for the attack boots, the Berserker's Greaves and the Sorcerer's Shoes, I think everyone hates on the Berserker's Greaves, which is understandable. They don't provide the type of benefit that the other boots provide. Yeah. But that's not but we'll go over that in a second. But that's not to say that the 25% attack speed isn't good, because a lot of the people who are going to get Berserker's Greaves are carries, such as Ashe or maybe Teemo. Maybe, Ashe usually uses Boots of Swiftness, but Berserker's Greaves provides the attack speed that they don't want to spend other money on.
Yeah, I think
they want to get attack damage.
Right, and I think that's a good point. You do get a lot of speed for your value. Those boots do give you a lot more damage from the gold you're spending. The only question is, well, you can get attack speed from a lot of other items, but you can't get some of the other features from other items, so that's where the question comes in.
Exactly. Like, for example, even the Sorcerer's Shoes, the 20 magic penetration. I mean, some items have magic penetration, but it's a very rare attribute to be on an item.
Exactly.
And it's almost the equivalent of 20 AP.
Yeah, I think,
or even more.
Yeah, I think it's more, but I think the big part of it too is that casters don't tend to need speed quite as much, but someone who's physical and would use the Berserker Greaves, often you're losing a lot by not going with swiftness or mobility in those cases.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. But I do like Sorcerer's Shoes. Those are a thumbs up. And let's go to the defensive boots next.
Yeah, Ninja Tabby and Merc Treads. And I think those are mostly going to be dependent on what you're seeing your opponents. If they've really stacked the deck, all physical or all magic with lots of stuns, I think regardless of what type of character you're playing, you've got to seriously consider getting either the Ninja Tabby or the Merc Treads.
Agreed. I think overall the Merc Treads apply more often, but I think the Ninja Tabby are, almost criminally underused because the 12% dodge chance is pretty significant. That's like 1 in 10 attacks from that DPS champion are going to miss.
Yeah, I agree.
And
I think looking at the defensive boots, I'd probably get Merc over Ninja Tabbies at least a 2-to-1 ratio. But that being said, I think they tend to get overshadowed by the speed ones a lot. Or something else I wanted to say, and now I don't remember. Oh, yes. As a tank, I do see a lot of tanks grab Merc Treads, which, I mean, you're sort of going to be in the line of fire, so that makes sense. On the other hand, I think most of the time you're going to be okay with them wasting their CC on you, as opposed to, your carry. So you almost want to encourage them to do it. But some champions, like a Mumu, you do want to get Merc Treads often enough, I think, because you want to be able to get off your big AoE ultimate for him. You don't want to get stunned for too long and delay that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the reason I get Mercury Treads is because that's actually, besides I think one other item, that's the only item in the game that actually reduces the length of crowd control. So although, like you said, you want them to use their crowd control on you, when they do, you don't want it to last as long normally.
Yeah, and I suppose unless you're at the very highest level of play, people aren't really paying attention to Merc Treads or factoring that into their strategy, as opposed to a Banshee's Veil, which is quite obvious. They know, well, I better not waste my stun on this guy while he's got that bubble up or something.
Exactly. So next up is going to be movement speed boots, and I'll talk about boots of swiftness because it's what I normally use. And boots of swiftness are pretty solid. They give you a significant movement increase, and I usually get them when I'm not afraid of being crowd controlled, because otherwise I'm going to get Mercury Treads. But if I'm not going to be crowd controlled, or I want to be just straight up fast all the time, boots of swiftness are by far the way to go.
Yeah, I think the more I've played this game and the better I've gotten, the more I've come to rely on the speed boots, just because they give you so many more options in what you're doing. The others sort of just improve you a little bit, but don't give you more options, whereas the speed really lets you choose when you want to run away, when you want to chase someone down, and where you want to be on the map very quickly. And for me, the toss-up between swiftness and mobility comes down mostly to, am I playing a champion who's going to want to chase someone during combat, basically? In which case I want the swiftness so I can do it. Otherwise, I'll take mobility because then the speed boost outside of combat is more important to me.